Hey everyone, I'm here now finally recording my tattoo talk video. I asked you guys to send in some questions for me, and I will be doing that in later bit of the video. But I'm going to start off by explaining my experience, I guess you could say, with my three most recent tattoos. First of the newest ones that I got was back in October, and it's right here. It's my, sure you can see it. Yeah, my Michael Myers tattoo. I got that tattoo because I'm not the biggest like classic horror fan. Like I usually watch the remakes. Truth be told, yeah, I know I'm a goober. Out of the classics, whether it was by remake or original, my favorite villain in it was always Michael Myers. I always found like there's something very particularly menacing about this just silent, giant psychopath that just stalks and like slaughters people. So I thought I would get that one. And I mean, as for pain, like, you know, it's on the kind of sort of outer, sort of inner, like more so like right there area. It wasn't bad. I mean, I was lying down getting it done, so I was pretty comfortable. So it didn't really bother me that much at all to get done. So really honestly not much to be said about that one. I guess I just wanted to really explain why I got it. So quickly moving on to the second one, which is, if any of you are Lord of the Rings nerds, I shan't need to explain what that is. My reasons for getting it is because I saw the first Lord of the Rings movie when they like very first came out, and that was, when was that? That was 2001, I believe, was when the first Lord of the Rings movie came out. So I've been a fan of Lord of the Rings for, believe it or not, 14 years now. Because I've liked them for that long, I figured, you know, wouldn't hurt to get a tattoo, because I clearly am still super in love with Lord of the Rings. And the reason why I got Nazgul, of all terms from Lord of the Rings that I could get, was because when I saw Lord of the Rings and Two Towers in theaters, I remember that moment when Frodo, Samwise, and Gollum are with Faramir, and honestly the location is escaping me right now because I haven't watched that movie in a really long time, so please forgive me for not knowing that. But some castle looking thing, and the Nazgul appear, and riding with creatures, and Faramir looks up into the sky and screams Nazgul, and I remember that just that word, just, it struck me. I just really liked it, and you know, thinking just how menacing the Nazgul are, and how dark they are, and how creepy, and also mostly mute characters. You know, they resonated within me. That one, you know, is like right, like underarm, and getting pretty close to my armpit. So, needless to say, that one, without a shadow of a doubt, that hurt. But it definitely, it does trigger your nerves, because there is a giant nerve cluster in there, so even when she was like down there kind of area, it was poking at my nerves. And so don't be like unsettled if, when you're getting that area tattooed, if your leg jolts or your body, this side of your body jolts anyway, like involuntarily, just like spasms, is completely normal. Nothing's wrong. Other than that, with, you know, just as much to expect as you would in any other area they're getting tattooed. It's, for pain wise, it is up there on the scale of pain, I would say. But well, granted, this only took like, I think 2.5 hours tops. And then my third and most recent one that I just got on Thursday, so it's still like bumpy and scabby and stuff. But it's this guy here, and goes like halfway onto my hand. That one I was really expecting a lot of pain for. It probably would have been considerably less painful for me than it was, had I had a really good night's sleep and eaten a meal before going to get it done. I prepared myself. Wow, getting it done, and I brought some crackers upstairs and brought some fruit juice just to keep blood sugar flowing. But I'd say the most painful area was right here, so like the outer side of my hand with the really fleshy parts, and same thing like that side there. That, like, the side's probably the most painful. I would have thought that like all on the hand would have really sucked, but it really wasn't that bad. You will, like, if it, like, this is just halfway on the hand, but especially if you get like a full hand thing, you're gonna swell a lot. It only lasts for like between 1 to 3 days tops, maybe 4, to go completely down. You will get what's called, I believe, I've heard a lot of tattoo artists refer to it as this, which is the boxing glove, because your hand will, like, best way I can describe it is that from like here down, it looked like I got like a hand / wrist transplant from a fat person, because of the swelling, it was a little hard for me to like to grip, because so much of the skin was being pulled back for the swelling to be allowed. If you do get a hand tattoo, or like me, a partial hand, there may be like just not like a noticeable amount, but like just enough that's like, okay, I'm having a little trouble gripping right now. It's not a huge discomfort by any means, but as a whole, the entire experience was a little less than pleasant, but it could have been considerably worse. Like, I feel hand tattoos, finger tattoos, and foot tattoos are real, and rib tattoos are like really like, ugh, you know, because they're right on your bone, like no forgiveness really between your skin and your bone, but it's really not that bad. And I have my foot tattooed as well. There. So now I would like to move on to the questions that I asked you guys to send in to me. I have a few from Instagram and then a couple from Tumblr. I'm going to start with questions from Instagram. The first question I got, and I'll put like on the screen the names because some of them may be long and I don't really want to read all those out. But the first one is from Born Villain, and she asked, what do you use for aftercare on your tattoos? Now, it doesn't have to be like specifically this brand, but I personally use, and was recommended by one of my most talented artists that have done work on me, Aveeno Daily Moisturizer Lotion with the green cap. You have to be sure that, like, no matter what you use, that it's fragrance free, like no perfumes in it, no scents whatsoever. Fragrance can irritate it, and you don't want that because that make your healing process very unpleasant. Next question is from the Ghost in the Mirror, and she wanted to know, or they wanted to know, sorry, I'm not clicking on profiles, I don't know what to know. They wanted to know, how long is the recovery process? You know, what's it like? The recovery process, obviously it varies from, you know, how your body generally heals from wounds, like, you know, scrape your knee or whatever, how quickly your body recovers from that. And also, of course, it depends on the size sometimes, and sometimes also depends on the amount of detail on the tattoo. But generally speaking, for it to be like fully like swelling gone down, scabbing pretty much like all gone, it takes between 2 to 4 weeks. 4 weeks is like the absolute tops for it to be fully healed. If you are worried at all by your tattoo, like if it looks odd to you, it could very well be something entirely normal. But if you're worried at all, don't be ashamed to go in and ask your tattoo artist, like, hey, I just got a tattoo here, and it's kind of doing this thing, and I just want to know if that whole song and dance is a normal one. Next question, still from Instagram, is from Holly Bear, and they want to know which spot hurt the worst for me. Well, honestly, it's a tie for a few spots for me that were all equally the worst compared to the rest of mine. Probably the worst ones I've gotten is right on my finger, this one, because, you know, partially on my hand, and on my foot, and then that one's kind of in there. But I think if I had to pick like absolute most painful out of those ones, I would go with probably my finger. Finger foot is really big tie between finger and foot. But I mean, at least the good thing with finger one is that it's really quickly done. So I wasn't in that much. The last question from Instagram is from Desi3. And they wanted to know what tattoo that I have holds the most meaning for me. The most meaningful tattoo I have is one of my biggest ones, which is this big, giant blue roses piece. That one holds the most meaning for me because it is a memorial piece for a friend of mine who unfortunately passed a few years ago from an overdose. That one was most meaningful to me for that reason being the biggest one, but also it proved a lot to myself because it was my longest session and obviously my biggest tattoo so far. For this to be finished, like outlining, coloring, and shading and all, it took between like I think 4.5 to 5 hours to finish completely, and my arm was like swollen like out to there. Like my arm looked like it belonged to pop. It was a combination of the sentimental meaning behind it and then just showing how much pain that I can withstand and still be around, if that makes any sense. Now I'm going to be moving on to questions from Tumblr. There's only a couple here, so this won't be too much longer, hopefully. I mean, I talk a lot, like I'm doing right now. Okay, so there's a question from Anonymous on Tumblr, and they have a few questions actually. Their first question is, do colored tattoos hurt more, less, or the same as black? To answer that one, I would say without a shadow of doubt, makes absolutely no difference. Ink is ink. It's all the same. And then they wanted to know, does the outline hurt more or less? I guess more or less than filling it in. This also depends on the area and how much outlining needs to be done, but again, to keep it generally speaking, outline, I'd say actually is the less painful part because they're just like, once they're down the line, then they're done. Whereas when they're filling it in, it's like, you know, like going over and over and over and over and over and over to keep it filled in, which makes your skin very, very, very raw, which is what causes most of the swelling. And they also wanted to know, do you go numb when getting a tat, and do you zone out? I wouldn't say that you necessarily go numb while getting a tattoo, because you definitely feel it all the way through. That's for sure. It's not a sensation you can easily ignore, but I would say not necessarily numb out to it, but you get used to it. It goes from kind of hurting to just like, I'd really rather not feel this anymore kind of thing. It's more of an annoying sensation than anything once you're like halfway through, depending on the size of the tattoo, obviously. I definitely do zone out sometimes, like, because now, like I said, this most recent one, I got them a couple days ago. So now I have in total, I think, 19 tattoos. So at this point, it's really something I'm entirely used to, the entire process, the pain, everything. So yeah, I do often do something. There's the last question, is from a guy whose URL is very classy. This Louise bag said, I don't know if I will ever get to tattoo myself, but out of curiosity, how bad does it hurt? Each tattoo, no matter where it is, whether it's, you know, on your foot or your hand, or if it's just like, you know, a nice fleshy area like your forearm, every tattoo does have a level of pain to it. For the really painful ones, or at least the most painful ones that I've gotten so far, the best way that I could describe it is kind of like a cat scratch going across a sunburn. I know that sounds awful, but that's the best way I can really describe it. And then just in general for other tattoos, I'd say actually, yeah, like a cat scratch, just like a cat scratch on its own, like if you've gotten scratched by a cat before or whatever, think about that, but like being dragged along your skin for upwards of like a couple hours to a few hours. So it's kind of like, yeah, I really, like I said, I like really would rather not feel that. It's kind of annoying, but I'll live. So that's it for the questions so far. I will gladly do another one if any of you have any more questions, or if any of these questions that I have answered have inspired something that you do want to know. Just send them into my inbox, and if it is like something tattoo related, I will set it aside for the next one of these that I do. So hopefully what I have explained so far has been helpful and beneficial, and maybe even like, you know, takes a weight off of your chest, you know, from worrying about things. Because tattoos are awesome. I mean, really. That's it. So I will see you guys next time that I do one of these videos. Peace.